What's going on, everybody? How you doing? And welcome. My name is Lord PeteyTV, and I'm here to give you a couple tips. If you're looking to start playing Fellowship like myself, and I really have done a lot of deep dive playing of the game. I've had some early access to it. I've also been able to interview some developers involved in the game, and these are some little tips that I kind of wanted to bring to people to make sure they understand the game a little bit better, and they understand on what they're going to end up walking themselves into when the game launches on October 16th. Now, might I remind you, it is an early access on the 16th, and on top of that, there's going to be a $25, one-time pay fee. If you're looking to buy other things in the game itself for cosmetic, it's all cosmetic purposes, and there is a little bit more of a cost to it for different levels of that supporter packs. Me personally, I will be probably taking the highest pack possible because I am pretty much in love with this game, hence why I am making videos for it. Now, so let's get on with a couple of tips for you all to kind of get yourself ready. Now, the biggest thing I want to kind of talk about is all the classes. There are the trifecta, if you will, of classes. You have your tank, your healer, and your DPS classes of groups of 4. Now, each class has their special niche, if you will. For instance, if you're going to play Helena, who is one of the tanks, she is more of a tanky sword and board shield type character, which is kind of easier to play and can kind of group characters very easily. Whereas if you play Miko or Mako or Maiko, whichever you prefer to pronounce it, the other tank, she's a little bit more complicated and she does the same purpose, but they are very well balanced one to the other. It's just preferably on your play style. Now, when you're working with the other classes, like Sylvie or Vigor, both of the healers play very differently. One is more of a direct healer, the other is kind of a secondary off healer. Where Sylvie, you have to do a lot of damage to produce your mushrooms to attack, or Vigor, who directly heals, and then you can use DPS abilities in between. So you have two different sides there, and then you have Mara and Torque or Turig, wherever you want to pronounce it, the two melee classes. One's more like a rogue, the other is more of a warrior type, and then you have your ranged classes, which would be your fire mage type character, and also the celestial hunter type character. So you have those, and then also Rhyme, who's like a frost mage. So you have all of these different characters, and all of your DPS characters they all have their special niches, if you will. But the first thing I would say is that they all are pretty equal. The only difference is how you end up deciding to put your talent points into them and how you end up speccing them, and they will definitely make your gameplay feel and play differently. Now, talking about your talent points, now the next thing I kind of want to say is if you're going to start playing, the best thing you can do is start on the left side with the tree that is pretty much your character tree. Now, the way you end up going through your character tree is you just complete more and more dungeons and more character things unlock. I would highly recommend starting there before you do anything else. The reason for that is that you unlock most of your main abilities and talent points are going to be there. And then when you get to the top and you're done, you get a new, like, what is it called? I think it's an epic weapon, which will definitely put you a step above anybody else inside the dungeons. Now, once you end up getting that and you kind of get yourself squared away, it's kind of a perfect place to go. After that, you're going to want to start continuing to clear dungeons to move up the trees and then unlock more talent points. Now, it's a little interesting that the talent points themselves are in each of their, in each of those trees, but it really shows you the growth of each character, and I highly recommend you take the time to do that. The next thing I kind of want to talk about is the characters themselves. Each character is, or I should say, is their own individualized character, meaning each of them play their own special way. Each of them have their own chest. There's no trading of gear. There's nothing else in there. You can finally delete your gray items, which used to not be a thing. And that's something that ended up happening just recently. But overall, you can upgrade your weapons and your gear. So if you are in your contender rank and you get gear there, you can rank it up to an 8, which is equivalent to, I'm pretty sure, a level 4 on the adept rank. So you have those things that you know as you're going through. Nobody knows what the endless rank is yet, and it still hasn't been placed as 100% what it is, even on launch day. There's something to know about when you're going through. But I digress. So each character is on its own. Trinkets have their own unique abilities, so keep an eye on that. And even weapons for the healers or range classes do matter because it does help you in the long run. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is each dungeon themselves. Now, the higher up you're going to go in dungeons or levels of dungeons, like level 1 is your your regular walk around queue, and then there's your 2, your 3, 4, 5, 6, and then your 7. So each of them, once you start going higher, are going to start having different mutations or changes each of these dungeons. So the higher up you go, the more curses are going to be added, and then on top of that, they're going to be harder or change things. Now, the biggest change is going to be your 7, which is going to put you at the end of the contender or the beginning of the adept range, where they're going to start adding more abilities. So just note that that is a change. Now, like I've always said, not all of them are the same across the board. If you're, in one of the dungeons and you're looking at those curses, and then you look at a different dungeon, they're going to have 2 different curse sets. It's very different than Mythic Plus for World of Warcraft, where every single dungeon has the same affix throughout the week. This changes of the curses really changes the look of each dungeon, and it's randomized almost on a daily basis. So it's something to really look at and really challenges the player themselves. So I think that's a really, really good thing for people to know. Now, the last thing I want to tell everybody is have some patience. Now, the reason why I'm saying have some patience is because there are going to be a lot of new people that are going to be playing this game, and not everyone's going to know how each thing goes. Now, there is one of the fights which is very difficult once you start going into the higher contender levels, because you have to DPS, bosses at the same time while jumping into, this grass to prevent a vortex. There's all these things that are happening. People don't know these things, and people are going to have to learn them. So have some patience while you're playing and going through that. The other thing is that MODAs, which is what this is something new. And I think a lot of people are going to need to learn how they're ending up doing this properly and then go forward with it. So a couple of things you just really need to know. And as always, I will be in there, always playing, always doing it, always killing it, always having fun with it. So just something else to kind of put out there. As always, if you're looking to see more content from me, I'm Lord PeteyTV on Twitch and YouTube. We play games every single Monday through Friday, lots of MMOs and other things too. So come check us out. Please join, subscribe, follow, whichever you prefer on whatever platform you're looking at us. Thank you so much. Enjoy. Have a fantastic Fellowship launch. I'll see you all soon. Thank you. Bye, everybody.